Today we're going to continue exploring the texture of leaves while we still have some leaves on the ground that we can collect. I have a pile of leaves here. I picked new leaves this week so that they're still sort of soft. If they're too crunchy, it doesn't work because when you press, they're going to crumple apart. So I had to go get fresh leaves this week. I have a piece of paper here. I have my Crayola markers, and then I have a wet paper towel. It's just damp. It's not dripping wet, but it's damp to the touch. Okay. For the markers, pretty much any kids' markers will work, but if they're permanent markers, it's not going to print very well. You need markers that are water soluble. So you can test that by coloring a little, and then if you put a drip of water, what happens? If it makes it really runny, that's going to work perfect. But Sharpies won't work. So what I'm going to do is put my paper off to the side. I'm actually going to use a piece of paper towel under where I'm coloring just so I don't wreck the table. And I choose the leaf that I want to print and making sure it's soft. I have to feel, again, we talked about this last week, the leaf has a texture. One side is smoother and the other is rough or bumpy. I can feel the texture on this side. So that's the side that I want to color. Then I take my marker and I color the leaf. You have to hold it at one end and then, oh, I tore it a little bit. I have to color it gently. Color, and you want it to be pretty saturated, pretty soggy with ink. Oh, I pressed so hard it went right through. I'm going to still use this one though, unless it rips in half. So I'm just coloring. I'm trying to get in all the little nooks and crannies. And then we press the leaf down. Okay? If you have really juicy markers still, like if it's a fresh batch of markers, you probably can just press the leaf on the dry paper and rub gently on the back and get a print. If your markers are a little dry, it helps to use the paper towel to moisten the paper first. My markers are still pretty fresh though, so I think it's going to work. So if I think I've rubbed the whole leaf, then I lift and I can see the texture of the leaf printed on the paper. Now there's still some ink on my leaf, so I'm going to use my wet paper towel. And I'm just going to wipe the paper a little bit gently. I don't want it to be super soggy. You can see it's a little bit shiny. The paper's curling a little bit because of the moisture. You want to wait until it's not shiny anymore. So if I'm looking at it, see how the shininess is soaked in? Now I'm ready to print. So I'm going to put the same leaf that still has some ink down. And I'm going to try again with the ink that's left over. And what happens is the moisture of the paper from the paper towel actually activates a little bit of dry ink that's left behind. And then lift. So this one's probably done, and I'm going to try another one. You can keep repeating to fill in the space of the page, one leaf at a time. That was a very tiny leaf. This time I'm going to use a bit bigger one. Let me try one of my longer leaves. I'll try this one. This one has a hole where a little bug nibbled on it. And I decided that I'm going to color mine with fall colors. So first I'm feeling for the texture. Smooth and rough. And then I'm coloring with my marker. All the way to the tip of the leaf. I'm trying to cover the whole leaf. Really saturated. And then I'm going to turn my leaf face down and gently rub on the back. So I'm holding it still with one hand and using just my finger to rub to make sure it presses down onto the page. And then I lift. Oh, that one turned out really nice. Now that one looks like most of the ink is gone. So I'm going to try another one. Let's try this one. It works best with darker colors. I'm going to use green. I would like to use yellow, but I think it's going to be too light to show on my paper when I print. I'm sort of coloring with the side of the marker. I'm not going this way. I have it turned sideways so I can use the thick part of the marker. So you want to color the whole thing. Make sure it's nice and shiny. Super saturated. And then we're going to turn it face down. Now I have run out of damp paper, so I'm going to wipe this side now. And I'm going to wait until it's not shiny anymore. So I have to let the water soak in. A little bit longer. And then I can print. And just gently rub on the back of the leaf. You have to rub hard enough to press into all the little grooves of the leaf so you can really see the texture, but you have to press gently enough that you don't tear the leaf. So it takes gentle fingers to do this job. And then we lift. So you can continue to fill up the paper as much as you want. If you want to color in the background, you could actually make designs and doodles in the background with your markers, but I wouldn't recommend painting this one with watercolor the way that we did with our texture rubbings last week, because the paint will actually make your print smear. So I would suggest, if you want to color the background, that you use the markers to make a design in the background, or like crayons, something that doesn't have a lot of liquid so that you don't ruin your print.